This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Claridge left with a disappointing mistake in Brazil. Not only does it make the championship look more likely for Rob Olenek, but it opens the door to drivers such as Trangarade and Teal. Appropriately, Rob heading into unknown territory with the 49s. Today's race is one that has never been run by these cars. Road America is a frequent stop, but the bend is so rarely used, it's raised many eyebrows. Will an extra chicane change the entire flavor of this course? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Johan Vandenbelt. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Johan, we've got a fresh layout on our hands, so I'll hand it to you to tell our audience about the track for today.
Yeah, well, I think that the track today you can describe as Road America with a twist, because this circuit really feels different than the normal one we see usually. Road America was constructed over 70 years ago in 1955 and is one of the only tracks in the world that still uses its original layout. Apart from one corner, and you guessed it, it's that added chicane we see today. Now, the addition of this corner actually changes the characteristics of the track by quite a lot. Normally, drivers would plunge out of the carousel towards the kink, the most difficult corner of the track, where even being a few centimeters off the line will send your heart into the concrete barrier. Now, this bit of bite is replaced by a new overtaking opportunity, however, for the drivers who get a good run out of the previous corner. The track today will be a 14-turn layout and reaches 6.5 kilometers, which the drivers will lap 16 times today. During the race, the drivers will have plenty of overtaking opportunities, as there are a lot of straights followed by heavy braking zones. But despite this, I'm willing to bet that every driver today wants to get that pole position. And to see what kind of lap you need for that, let's hop aboard the GSRC Lotus 49 for a lap around Road America.
Alright, we've got Phil Lake in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Road America. You'll be absolutely flying down this front stretch towards turn 1. And though this is a swift corner in most modern cars, there's a lot of braking needed in the Lotus. This makes it a prime spot for overtakes. It's a short straight down to turn 3, but this little kink in the braking zone makes it easy to dip a wheel into the grass. This is one of the most important corner exits of the lap because of it dumping you onto the moraine sweep. Drivers will be sizing you up as you pick up speed and then trying to outbrake you into the downhill turn 5. That drop in elevation means it's pretty common to see someone overshoot this left-hander. Keep half an eye on your mirrors in case someone is coming plowing through into the runoff. From there, you head back uphill into 6. The crest really interrupts your braking and turn-in points, so the most frequent error here is missing the apex completely. After that, you have very little time to get back across the track to set up for 7. This leads you into the hurry downs. With a slow turn 8 at the end of it, on occasion drivers will try to get a pass in if they're eager to get by someone. But that flows into the long, patience-trying carousel. You're going to be feathering the throttle for a long way around this never-ending sweeper. And for the regular layout, squaring off the exit would be very important. But with this version having the chicane following, it's actually better to make sure you can swing across to the right. Hug tight to the first apex and line yourself up to get a good launch off the second one. This straightens out the kink tremendously, making it a much easier entry into the kettle bottoms. You still gotta weave through the little bends in the road and focus on making it as straight a line as possible for braking into Canada Corner. Though this is a turn where overtakes can happen, because the braking is so hairy, drivers might be a bit more circumspect to try it. Finding the throttle is also a bit tricky since you need to keep steering the car over to the right for Bill Mitchell Bend. It's so easy to lose the car over this blind crest since you'll be tempted into getting back on the throttle as soon as possible. We'll have no time to relax though, because another important turn is the final corner. This late apex right-hander leads back onto the pit straight, where a delay on the power will hurt your lap time and your speed. Watch out for the crest at the top of the hill because the car will get light. But hopefully you've now finished a lap around Road America. There you see a lap up and around the hills through the trees here at Road America with the kink removed rather, the chicane added to this layout. Now, the championship will be shaken up by the lack of Claridge being able to be around, but we also understand that Rob Olenek is not able to be here this week either. So then you'd think, well, Gary Teal down there in third, maybe he's got a chance to move up into the lead. Well, Gary Teal's not here today. Ove Trangarade is the highest rated driver to have shown up of the top 5. Matt Wright also, who pops onto the top 5, gaining 2 positions, is also here today. Those two have a good chance to try and make inroads. With 150 points on the board, there's still actually quite a few drivers that are mathematically in it. The question is, who is going to take advantage now that the main contender and the dominant force of Mick Claridge has disappeared for the remainder of the season. What about the F2 championship? Is that also topsy-turvy?
No, in the F2 championship, the main protagonists are here. Hugh Haycox is still leading the championship, but look behind him, Graham Patullo. He had a great race last time around in Interlagos, cut down the deficit to only 9 points. And he seems very, very good form to challenge Hugh Haycox for the title in the Formula 2 championship. Hideki Kofisto, he lost 1 position. He's not here today either, so he will look down to Colin Coker and Andrew Eng, 2 drivers that both had quite okay races in Interlagos, but they have to fear from David Sanchez, who fortunately for them is not here today, but is getting closer and closer to a top 5 position.
Now, the Constructors' Championship up at the top of that has the United States leading and is likely to continue to be a good force as they have, Olenek is not a United States driver. I know it says that, but Teal is a United States driver. Or excuse me, not Olenek, I was thinking of Trangarade. Olenek is a United States driver, excuse me. Claridge is contributing most of the points for the UK, but of course he won't be able to continue to contribute for the rest of the season. Germany's been doing very well with Pawlowski in there, and Reinhardt and Weber has, of course, contributed a fair share of their own. Australia is tied with them now, and Matt Wright is in a good position to continue to contribute points for them. But Pawlowski's been fast so far, so he'll have a fight on his hands. Finland rounds out your top 5 in the Nations Cup. Let's take a look at the race details for today, though. Johan?
We already mentioned that this is a race today that will be 16 laps long. It's round 10 of our 12-round championship. The race today around Road America, it will feature, as usual, open setup, so the drivers can tweak it just to their liking to conquer that new chicane to this track. And the points, they pay out to 25th position.
And of course, we're getting to show you this once again on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe. You'll not only catch the Lotus 49 series here today like this, but there might be some of you who are also double watching with the Indy races that have been happening. Of course, the Indy 500 that they cover here, the official series, the official Indy 500. On the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and click the big red button on their YouTube page, and then you can catch that and all the official World Championships here on the IESN. Qualifying currently taking place, and this is a new name up at the top. I don't think we've ever seen Hugh Haycox on the pole after the first lap, and he's got Ove Trangarade chasing him very closely. That Hugh's going to get to the line first out of these two, so let's see whether or not the British driver racing from France can manage to retain this provisional pole.
Great day for the Haycoxes both, to be honest, because behind Ove Trangarade it's Ian Haycox, who's currently sitting in P3, only 1/10 behind his son at the moment. Very close up top with 3 cars within 1/10 of a second. But we can go back to Hugh Haycox. He's coming around the last corner now. Let's see what his time is. As he is coming across the Road America straight under the Caterpillar sign right now. Swerves a little bit as the car gets loose on top of the crest. Comes across the line with a 2:10.0, so not quicker for Hugh Haycox. He will stay on pole position. Let's swing back to Ove Trangarade, who's coming across the out of the last corner now. He has to win. He has to win around 7 hundredths of a second, to be honest. Coming across the start-finish line, does he do it? He doesn't do it. He goes quicker, but he is slower. 18 thousandths of a second.
He was way off the apex of that final corner. Just a little bit tighter through there. He may have been able to have it. So next car that's going to have a chance is Matt Wright. He's all the way down in 6th, though. All the drivers behind them have... Oh, excuse me. Roman Pawlowski has taken the pole. So number 3 car now up to the top, and Matt Wright is coasting the line, so he's giving up on this lap. So that bumps Haycox down to 2nd, Trancray to 3rd now. Stefan Schlacher comes around the final corner. He's got a 2:11.2. He was complaining about finding consistency in the braking around this layout. Let's see what he's got as he climbs the hill towards the start-finish line. A 2:11.2 is pretty far back. The second lap is a 2:11.4. That is not faster for him, so he will stay in 8th place.
Philippe Urquhart was one of the drivers, just like Roman Pawlowski, who had an off-track on his first lap. The second time coming over the start-finish line, he did get a lap. He got a 2:11.9, pushed himself into 9th place with that.
Ends our qualifying. Angelica Pawlowski is going to put it on the pole today by about 0.3 over Hugh Haycox, who is on the front row, but it's a very tight pace fight between Ove Trangrade and Hugh Haycox in 2nd and 3rd. Ian Haycox will be starting in 4th. Marco Kika, P5, with Daniel Sadro starting 6th. Matt Wright will be 7th when the green drops, and Stefan Schlacher starts 8th. Philippe Urquhart starts P9, and Andrew Ang rounds out your top 10.
Armin Weber starts just outside of the top 10 in P11. He's being flanked by Grant Petullo. On row 7 we can find Andres Bruno and Colin Coker, the slowest driver, with a lapped time. 2 drivers didn't set a qualifying time, and those are Don Good and Robert Reynolds. You can find them in row 8.
All the cars now lining up on the grid, getting ready for this 16-lap race out here at Road America. Will we get a completely different race, both with the kink and missing many of our major players out there today? We'll see. Hopefully we don't have a rout, because it certainly seems like Roman Pawlowski is looking very, very fast as Roman takes that car out to the pole position. It is a standing start as usual here in this series. Just waiting for Stefan Schlacher to bring it out today. And as he comes to the grid, that means that the engines will start to rev here for round 10. The lights are up. Green flag is out. Off the line. Oh, second place doesn't go. And we've got multiple cars getting into, I believe that was Hugh Haycox. And he manages to finally get the car going after a few hits. Daniel Sadro seems to have gotten the worst of it as he is limping along, but otherwise it is still Pawlowski leading. Ove Trangrade now up into 2nd. Matt Wright gets up to 3rd. Marco Kika is promoted to 4th.
Yeah, just quickly looking through the field, it seems like all cars can continue. No car is crabbing, although Daniel Sadro seems to indeed have gotten the worst of it. He's very, very slow. Andres Bruno as well. He's falling down the order a little bit. Stefan Schlacher is trying to overtake and move on Armin Weber. What a start Armin Weber has had, all the way from P11 to P6, although he has to concede 1 position out to Stefan Schlacher, who gets him in turn 5.
Haycox might have got some damage from that as he was really sliding his way through turn 5. Otherwise, everybody going, as Johan said. So the battle for the lead is awful tight here halfway through the first lap.
Sorry, that's a blown engine for you, Haycox. He just blew his engine on the exit of turn 7. And that's big news for the Formula 2 Championship, because he was being chased down by Grant Petullo. And with everything that has happened, Grant Petullo is now, I think, in P9. So that's a good haul of points for Grant, and probably also P1 in the Formula 2 Championship.
I wonder if he got hit so hard that it just damaged the engine and it couldn't take much more. They're working their way through the chicane for the first time. Let's see if anybody has trouble getting on the power, as they're coming off of a very slow corner. It looks pretty good for most everybody. And already you can see our leaders hitting Canada corner. It is Pawlowski being chased by Trangrade. A bit of a battle behind them. Stefan Schlacher getting a nice run on Philippe Urquhart, and he's going to be able to take P5 away as they come through Bill Mitchell Bend.
Great move on the outside there from Stefan Schlacher. He really tries to move up the field after a slightly poor start. He is working his way forward and actually already made up 2 positions. But some of these drivers, Joe, that are currently driving in the top 3, top 4, they had an amazing start of the race, like Matt Wright. Started in P7, now up to P3.
Let's take a look at the start once more. Well, actually, before we go to that, I thought Trangarade using the draft very well to close in, but he couldn't quite get the pass done there. He's much closer coming out of turn 3 now. So as they plunge down the Moraine sweep towards 5, could we see Trangarade maybe have an opportunity? As slippery as these cars are in a straight line, they do get a draft. But unfortunately, it's not enough of a draft down here to the 5th corner, so he's going to stay back. All right, now I think we've got a chance to take a look, see what happened with one of the Haycoxes off the line.
And just look at the car that's on the left. The first car on the left just doesn't go. And it is the green car of Ian Haycox that actually gets around it. But behind that, Daniel Sedro is the first one who encounters it standing still and just hits it very, very hard.
It's a shame for Sadro. Oh, just could not know. Everything happened so fast. Sadro winds up in the pits with repairs because of that damage. So he's going to be way down the order. He will be ahead of Hugh since he has retired, as we come back to the battle for the lead between Pawlowski and Trangarade.
Seems to be spreading a little bit at the moment over Trangarade, around 0.4 of a second behind Roman Pawlowski at the moment. When they began this lap, it was quite a bit closer.
Whoa, we have a car off in Canada corner. Stefan Schlacher completely loses it. It is out in the kitty litter. What was looking like a good run sends him all the way back to where he started in 8th place.
Just look at a replay of him. He puts both left side tires on the grass under braking. That spins him around, but luckily for the Austrian, it actually keeps it out of the wall. He doesn't lose as much time as you would think if you would see him stand that far in the gravel. He can immediately get his car going again. He's right behind Armenwerker now though.
Saw at the top of your screen in the meantime that Pawlowski set the fastest lap. And they're still battling hard with Trangarade giving chase coming out of turn 3. It seems like out of some of these slow corners that Roman is just so much stronger on the power because he stretches away as soon as they start accelerating.
Yeah, it really seems like that, and it's interesting to see how much of an... Ooh, as Roman Pawlowski actually goes very wide there in turn 5. Does that give an opportunity over Trangarade? I think it does, side by side, as they reach turn 6. On the apex, it's over Trangarade who gets by him there. Roman Pawlowski doesn't have the answer yet. He immediately dives back into the racing line, but he has to concede that position. And let's see if Roman Pawlowski, like you said, Joe, can use that advantage that he seems to have with more straight line power to return the favor to over Trangarade and get back the P1 position.
Oof, opportunistic stuff from Ove. As soon as he saw him go wide, he snuck that car to the inside to come through the carousel. Who would have thought that Trangarade would be able to come forward this well from 3rd on the grid? And can Roman do something considering the advantage that he had in qualifying? He's staying with him as we come through the kettle bottoms down to Canada corner. He said he's strong off the slow corners. Will that give him a quick chance to try and be aggressive into the braking zone? He is aggressive, but unfortunately has to lower the car up to stay out of the back of Ove Trangarade.
He keeps his car way more steady though than Ove Trangarade does. Ove is sliding quite a bit more as they go back on throttle, but it doesn't seem like Roman Pawlowski can use that to his advantage. You can see it here, Ove Trangarade really using all the track that's possible to him. Just get more momentum out of that corner, but now over the start-finish straight in the drop. Roman Pawlowski is cutting down the deficit very, very quickly. 2 car lengths, 1 car length, taking a little look to the inside, but he actually lets go of it. Doesn't want to try a do-or-die move there and just follows him through turn 1.
It's also a bit of a battle for third place. Matt Wright is having to fend off Marco Kika. And Kika took a think about it down into turn 1 and then decided better of it. As he come through 3, could he get another run? He was about 3/10 back when they came off the final corner. Unfortunately, it looks like he's even farther back coming off of turn 3 as he drops off the likes of Matt Wright.
Interestingly enough, because of this battle between Matt and Marco Kika, they are actually losing quite a bit of time. Not to Philippe Urquhart in P5, but to Ian Haycox in P6. Last time around, Ian Haycox was around a second quicker than this pair. With only 3 seconds between them, if Ian can keep up this pressure, he can maybe fight for a podium position that he was oh so close to in qualifying.
Ian, the father of Hugh, who is now out of this race, their front row starter. And he's got himself up to 6th. Although he started in 4th, he of course had to take that avoiding action. Oh, and number 14 had an off.
Yeah, Colin Coker under braking going towards turn 5, just lost it there. We go to a replay of that incident. He was driving around at P11. Good race from Colin Coker so far, but just under braking, the car starts to slide away. Now, luckily for him, he doesn't hit the wall, but it loses quite a bit of time trying to get that car going again.
Yeah, he was awful close and nearly stuck his suspension right into it. That would have done some pretty bad damage, I think. As we come back up to the lead, I think Roman Pawlowski wants this spot back. He still seems to have the pace over Trangarade, and he's much closer coming through the final corner. Another slide from the Norwegian coming out of the final turn. Up the front stretch. That draft definitely going to help the yellow car as we ride on board. Number 3 looks to the inside. No defensive move from Ove Trangarade. Both braking, very strong on the brakes from Ove. Coming into the first corner, a little bit too strong, and he's off into the grass, and the spot goes back to Roman Pawlowski for the lead.
Wow, what a great move from Roman Pawlowski, who also lost the car himself almost by cutting too much of the apex, putting his right side tires on the grass and getting a slide because of that as well. Both cars sliding through that corner. It is Roman Pawlowski who gets the position, and look at the gap immediately. That increases to, well, let's say 8-9 of a second. That's quite a healthy buffer that you have to over-triangulate.
It makes me wonder if Trangarade's going to lose the draft now and start to fall off of Roman. Before he was using it a little bit to try and ride his coattails. Behind them, the fight for third is still awful close. Wright and Kika duking it out. Kika the one giving chase in P4. Staying about half a second behind.
Maybe if you can jump back 2 positions more. There's also a nice battle going on for P5. I mentioned Philippe Urquhart. He wasn't as quick as Ian Haycox, where you can see that Ian has completely caught up with him, and those two are battling it out at the moment. But behind them, Stefan Slager, he of course had that big spin in Canada corner, lost quite a bit of time. I think that Stefan Slager is one of those drivers who can also maybe move towards P6, P5 in front of him, and really be a part in that P5 battle.
A lot of close 2-car fights up at the top of the field. So we take a look at the number 6 of Stefan Schlacker, who's managed to get himself back into 7th, past Weber. This is Marco Kika giving chase on Matt Wright for 3rd place. Coming through Bill Mitchell Bend. Is it close enough to use the slipstream up the pit straight? Looking tighter at the apex, but maybe a little too shallow, unfortunately. As they climb the hill, he's about 3/10 back and getting closer. This might be too little too late, though.
Yeah, it seems like Kiko is a little bit too far behind. And I'm just thinking, Joe, like this is not only a very interesting battle to follow for P3 in the race, it's also a battle that's very interesting to see for P5 in the championship. At the moment, there's only 6 points between Matt Wright and Marco Kika. Matt Wright is currently P5 in the championship, Marco Kika P6. So if Kika gets by Matt Wright, I don't think it's enough for him to actually leapfrog and put himself in the top 5 of the championship. He's cutting down the deficit to maybe 1 or 2 points.
And here's where it gets fascinating as we take a look at the fight behind them, because I think Haycox now has the inside of Urquhart, and he's got it. But it looks like Philippe is going to try and come back with a good run off the corner, just not long enough of a straight up to turn 6, so he stays behind. But Roman Pawlowski, who is leading this race, has missed 4 races, and they only have 2 drop weeks. But he could still at least climb the order somewhat, with a lot of drivers having bad races. And the ones that Roman has showed up for, most of them, he's had decent finishes.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he can just manage to win this one, if he can beat over Triangulate, he will do some really good business for himself, especially with Mick not being here, with Rob not being here, with Gary not being here. He can really elevate himself more forward in that championship and put himself forward as a bigger threat for the championship title than maybe Gary Thiel was compared to Rob Olenek and Mick Claridge.
Continues to be fascinating here. Oh, as Roman, you got to be careful. That didn't look like much, that little off, but that is a scary corner through Bill Mitchellbin, especially in these cars.
Absolutely. I think that if you try that 9 more times, you hang it in the wall all those times. This 10th time he actually kept it out of the wall. So lucky for him. Let's go back to P3, however, as Marco Kika is getting a great run out of the final corner, side by side with Matt Wright, over start finish line. This lap around, Marco Kika is in P3, but he wants to be P3 after turn 1 as well. Under braking, it is Matt Wright who brakes slightly later, but in the second part of the braking, it's Marco Kika who wins. He gets the apex first. Can Matt Wright battle back to P3? No, he can't. He has to slot back in after the Finn as they reach turn 3 here under braking. It is the Finn who has the advantage, and he gets a podium position from Matt Wright.
Wow, Kika was working on that for a while, and he was not going to give it up. So Matt Wright now demoted down to 4th, and Marco Kika, who started P5, is up onto the podium. Wright takes another look as they come down to turn 5, but he's not close enough to try to send it in. He's threatening, though, and he gets a good launch off the corner. Another left-hander, still can't stick the nose in, stays behind over the crest.
It's really great to see that all the battles, it doesn't matter actually that one driver overtakes the other one, Joe. It's not that they have an easy job driving away. Even if they get past, they still stay with the driver that just passed them, and they can continue their battle. We saw this for P1. We see that now for P3 as well. Meanwhile, Stefan Slagge is closing down the deficit to Philippe Urquhart, and behind him, Andrew Eng is closing in on Armin Weber very quickly.
Yeah, that's going to be a fascinating fight between these two. A number of cars kind of put a little bit out of order due to that crazy start with Hugh Haycox being stalled on the grid. They come through the carousel. Usually this is where you want to get a good launch, but immediately you can see they swing back, coming for the chicane. This is where Andrew Eng, who blinks a little bit, is looking to get himself a nice run. They come through the kink, which is much less of a kink in this form, down through the kettle bottoms. He's nice and tight to the back of Weber. Who could we see an attempt coming into Canada corner? It's tricky breaking into here. Not going to be this time.
No, but Andrew Eng has been quite a bit quicker than Armin Weber. Last time around, for example, he was almost 2 seconds quicker. I think that Andrew Eng is on the mission. He will be able to get a P8 position very quickly. Coming out of the final corner, now you need a good run here. Oh, look at Armin Weber sliding through that corner. He will lose a lot of momentum. Andrew Eng actually hits the apex, but doesn't track out as much as he maybe could have done. That costs him a bit of momentum. However, he's in the draft. Armin Weber close to the pit wall, trying to defend the position on the inside. Andrew Eng has to go the long way around it. Who will brake later? It seems like Armin Weber is slightly stronger on the brakes, but Andrew Eng wins in the second part. Armin Weber with a little wiggle. They keep it side by side, however, and it's Armin Weber who's stronger out of turn 1.
Brilliant stuff between both drivers. It's a game of chicken on the brakes, a little bit wide through turn 3 from Armin Weber. This easily hands it over to Eng. Not only does he have the car ahead, but he's got the momentum on his side, plunging through the Moraine sweep. Down in to turn 5. I think he's going to at least finally have this 8th position.
In the meantime, just a quick update. Stefan Slagge got by Philippe Urquhart, so that means that the Austrian is now in P6. Philippe Urquhart is relegated to P7.
And I understand that we had a nice little fight for third place too between Kika and Wright. They are getting closer, but as we go to the replay, I think we've got enough time to take a glance at what happened here. Looks like down into turn 5. Look to the inside from the number 7. Unfortunately, that little bit of grass denies him the traction that he needs, and he's not going to be able to take the spot. Coming back live, that doesn't mean that Wright's given up on this at all. A little bit of never say die in the Australian as he continues to hound the Finnish driver.
Absolutely, coming across the last corner now. It actually seems like Matt Wright didn't have a good exit there. You can see the Finn just trooping away from him at that point. Good news for Marco Kika, I imagine. He, after that overtaking opportunity that we saw from Matt Wright, will be happy with a little bit of breathing room. Let's go back 2 positions, however. P6, Stefan Slagge. He's really close now to Ian Haycox. You can see it in the back of the screen there. Car number 6 is getting closer and closer. Goes a little bit wide in turn 1 though. They will not help him on the exit. Meantime, they're dropping Philippe Urquhart by quite a bit. Around a second last time around.
I was going to say, I'm incredibly impressed with Schlacker's recovery, considering that he was sent back down to where he qualified. He's coming back yet again and looking at a top 5 here. Like you said, he looks a lot faster than Ian Haycox as he closes right in under braking through 5.
Yeah, and saying that, it's not that Ian Haycox is slow, because mind you, Ian and Stefan are both quicker than Marco Kika and Matt Wright are at the moment. So if Matt and Marco keep fighting the way they're doing the past few laps, I wouldn't be surprised that these two drivers make it a 4-car battle for the final podium position. Soon as Stefan Slagge tries a very late braking move there into that's I think turn 8, actually gets by him, but it's still Ian Haycox there on the inside of the carousel. No, he gets cut off. Stefan Slagge gets by him there. That's a P5 position for the Austrian.
And for a driver who was complaining about how he didn't like the brakes on this car, he seemed pretty good right there in the hurry downs. Let's see if he can chase down the battle for third place. Now, Roman Pawlowski has been holding Trangarade at bay despite the mistake that we saw earlier in this turn, Bill Mitchell Bend. But Trangarade has been hovering about half a second back, and now he's actually much closer. In fact, he's gained a lot of ground in these last few corners. It is down to 0.3 of a second. This is the closest he's been in a while. The Norwegian is not done with his battle for the lead. We still have 8 laps to go. He's got chances to go here.
Absolutely, coming across start-finish line. It's around 0.5 of a second between the two, 0.5 and 0.02 of a second. And just over Trangarade seems so strong at some points of the track. Last time around 0.4 quicker than Roman Pawlowski. I would almost say that Roman Pawlowski might have made a little mistake though, Joe, because that's really an outlier compared to the few laps that he had done before that, especially the 9.2 the lap before Roman Pawlowski. That was his quickest lap of the race. Let's go back to P5. Yes, Ian Haycox is getting the position back from Stefan Slagge as they reach turn 3. That's way too late braking from Ian Haycox. He goes all the way over the grass. That will give the opportunity to Philippe Urquhart to get a position back. He gets by.
One mistake into one corner, and Ian Haycox sees 2 positions slip through. That was a great move. He used the run up the pit straight and the slipstream to outbrake him into the first corner. You could see it's a nice smooth move, and then suddenly Stefan coming back at him, and I guess under the pressure, unfortunately, the older Haycox buckled.
Yeah, just slightly too late on the braking, and that relegates him 2 positions down back to P7. Luckily for Ian Haycox, the gap between him and Philippe Urquhart is around 1.5 seconds. And with the pace that Ian has been showing, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets by, especially if Philippe Urquhart makes a small mistake there. Not big enough for Ian Haycox to catch up. Will help him a little bit.
Quite a slide down into the grass for sure for Urquhart, and he retains 6th place. Don't know that we need to go back and look at it, but it certainly closed things up in that fight for 6th place. So we watch our leader, Roman Pawlowski, stretching away once more from Ove Trangarade all the way up to 1.1 seconds. Pawlowski responds. nice tight fight for 8th here, Johan.
Yeah, very close. We mentioned them before. Armin Weber and Andrew Eng. A few laps ago, they were also extremely close. Well, they're still very close. Coming out of the kink at the moment. Andrew Eng still having some connection issues, but the fight between him and Armin Weber is still very, very close. Run down towards Canada corner. It actually is Andrew Eng losing it hard into the wall. Under braking, the Canadian just loses control of the car. I don't know exactly what happened. He didn't touch grass or anything. I think maybe going down the gears a little bit too violently. I think that's race over for Andrew Eng because that suspension got a very, very hard knock.
Yeah, it snapped so quickly and it didn't look out of sorts. Let's watch from on board. See if he counter steers at all before it happens. Yeah, I think you called it. You could see on the downshift that the car just goes away. So slam down the gears too quick.
And it's big news for Colin Coker. Colin Coker was a little bit further down the order. He's currently driving around in P12. But with the retirement of Andrew Eng, Colin Coker will just increase his lead that he has over Andrew Eng in the championship standings and really consolidate the P4 position that he has.
You know, it looks like Haycox is not willing to give this up because he's already caught Urquhart. And this fight for 6th still is going to continue. They plunge down into the hurry downs through turn 8 and then weave back into the carousel. They're actually not too far behind Stefan Schlacker. It's about 1.5 seconds up to the Austrian there in P5, who I'd like to point out was closer to Matt Wright when we last looked. It was about 4.5 seconds. Now it's 5.5 seconds. So I'm not sure that the number 6 is going to be able to work his way up to the fight for the podium.
I think that Stefan made a mistake last time around because his lap time was around 1 second to 1.5 seconds slower than he did the laps before. He was comfortably doing 2/10 until that point. Last time around it was a 2:11.6, so maybe it's the fact that Stefan Schlacker is driving a bit in no man's land at the moment as he goes very wide there out of the Canada corner. Again over the gravel. You can see a little fleck of dust still in the air. That was because of Stefan Schlacker's wide corner there. Maybe he's just struggling being all out alone there at the moment.
I wonder if he's over driving the car. Meanwhile, look up at the front. Ove Trangerade continues to tease us every time he drops back. He climbs it back forward. And Pawlowski is under threat. Oh, this is a great launch off the corner. Trangerade definitely going to have the slipstream. He's a little slow on the power, and so he drops back slightly, but those 2/10 up to Roman is giving the opportunity. They break in the downhill for turn 5, but not even a look to the inside from the Norwegian.
You can just see how hard Roman Pawlowski is working to try and keep the Norwegian behind him, because under braking with every downshift that he makes, you can see the car just squirming a little bit, trying to not lose grip as he tries to get the car slowed down. Over Trangerade stays very close, however, through the hurry downs, going through turn 8 this time around. It stays close, but it almost seems like in this couple of corners, Joe, that Roman Pawlowski is just slightly driving away, maybe 1 car length.
So can he regain the ground coming through the chicane? They're out of the carousel now. Let's see what the Norwegian has underneath him. Ove Trangerade, nice and tight to the first apex, nice and tight to the second apex, but look at it once again. You could see that Roman just seems to pull away in slow corners. I get the feeling that he's set the car up pretty differently from what Ove has.
It could very well be it, and if that's the case, then it's a master stroke from Roman Pawlowski, because that's really saving his bacon until this point. Trying to keep Ove Trangerade behind him as much as possible. Let's see if Ove Trangerade can actually get a good run out of turn 14. Have a little bit of lap traffic in front of them. That's Robert Reynolds, but with these long straights, I don't think the traffic will be a big factor here. Coming through the last corner, you can see visually that the gap is quite a bit closer than it was last time around 5-6 car lengths. I don't think Ove will have a move going into turn 1.
Certainly doesn't look like it. We ride on board with the Scandinavian driver.
Let's go.
Go ahead.
I want to say let's go a few positions down to P6, because Philippe Urquhart, you mentioned Ian Haycox getting closer and closer. Well, he's been completely caught by Ian Haycox, who's now over start finish rate. Looked a little bit to the right, and now again he looks to the right. He just wanted a little bit more draft on the inside now. Can he brake later than Philippe Urquhart? It seems so, because Philippe Urquhart gives him the inside of that corner. Wow, what a drive from the apex, Ian Haycock says there. Great move from him, but they're still side by side as they reach turn 3. Under braking, now he seals the deal, but can Philippe Urquhart get more momentum out of the corner? He is very close, around 2 car lengths between the two as they reach morning sweep. Under the Sargento bridge, it is Philippe Urquhart getting closer and closer in the draft. Ian Haycock doesn't defend the inside, and Philippe Urquhart actually lets him by. So that's Philippe Urquhart relegated 1 position to P7.
At least he's fighting for it. You can't say that Philippe didn't give him a go. Unfortunately, he will have to settle for 7th and not much longer. Another mistake from Ian Haycock off the course through turn 6 and finds himself undoing all the hard work.
Such a shame for Ian Haycock. It was a beautiful overmove, a textbook maneuver how he got by Philippe Urquhart, but here just losing control. And luckily for him, there's not a hard concrete barrier on the outside of that corner, so he can continue after the trip through the gravel, but that's all his hard work undone for sure. Let's go back to the lead battle here, as you can see on screen, because Roman Pawlowski, he's still being put under pressure with 4 laps to go, Joe.
I cannot tell who has got the pace advantage here. They seem pretty evenly matched, just stronger in different spots on the track. This time it was a great run off the final corner from Ove. As they climb up the hill, I'm getting the feeling he's going to have a go into the first corner. In fact, he is gaining quickly. A defensive move from Roman Pawlowski. Very strong on the brakes. This didn't work out for Ove last time he tried this. He doesn't come down to the apex, but a bit of a squirm under power from Roman Pawlowski gives the spot to Ove Trangarade.
Beautiful move from the Norwegian, who immediately starts to slide from turn 3 as well, but he set his sights on the outside line in turn 1. He braked later to accommodate himself from that line, and it worked out. He got the position, but look at the screen now. Roman Pawlowski, he doesn't want to stay in P2. He wants to get a P1 position back. Now he is on the outside. Can he do the same thing as Ove Trangarade did a few moments ago? No, he doesn't. He doesn't get the momentum across that. Tries to do the cutback, but doesn't get the drive out of the corner that he needs. Ove Trangarade consolidates that. And through this couple of corners, turn 6, turn 7, there's only one line. Ove Trangarade once again sliding, though. He doesn't like that the Roman Pawlowski still is right behind him. Struggles getting the power down through turn 8. Can Roman Pawlowski take a look on the inside? He slots back to the racing line.
Man, Mick and Michelle move over. I think we have a new rivalry forming here in the battles for the win. Ove Trangarade and Roman Pawlowski have been giving us a titanic show, and there are only 2.5 laps left to go. Again, if you're just joining us, this is the battle for P1 that has been going on all race long. Through the chicane, this is where Roman excels out of slow corners, and you can see he managed to get the power down nice and smooth. Coming up to Canada corner, Ove not going to defend. He's going to hold to the racing line. Roman staying tight under the gearbox. Up towards Bill Mitchell Bend. We've seen a mistake from Pawlowski through here before. This time, no such mistake.
But Roman Pawlowski, like you said, Joe, he's quick out of slow corners. Let's see if he can do that once again out of turn 14. Doesn't look like he can. Different way that both drivers approach the apex, and that seems to cost Roman Pawlowski at the beginning. But the draft is strong. Up the hill, over the crest, over start finish line. He gains very quickly, dives to the inside. Ove Trangarade doesn't defend his position under braking. Can Ove Trangarade keep the outside once again? Both cars are sliding slightly, and look at Roman Pawlowski losing a lot of time trying to cut the apex too much. And around the outside, Ove Trangarade just keeps that P1 position.
Incredible move from Ove Trangarade, a power move, managing to hold him off from the outside of turn 1. Here we go again, down the moraine sweep. Pawlowski not giving this one up. He's going to look to the inside for the second time in a row. They hit the heavy braking zone. Can we see a repeat of that move just moments ago? Yes, we can. Ove Trangarade, I almost think that he's managing to use the strengths of this car, knowing that he can't get a better run off the inside with it being a little bit slower, maybe tighter to the apex, and then somehow he gets it the power down and holds Pawlowski off. This is incredible stuff.
It is not only skillful, it's just very smart, very intelligent driving from Ove Trangarade. The way he opts out of getting the apex every time that Roman Pawlowski takes a look on the inside. He just stays around the outside. He knows that he has more momentum there, and he defends his position. Now let's see this bend. We've talked about it in the beginning of the broadcast. This really changes the track of the course of the track. That little chicane going through the kink now. You can see Roman Pawlowski getting a good run once again. Not surprising. Across Cattle Bottoms towards Canada corner. 1-2 car lengths. Both cars squirming a little bit as they go around the little corner there. Ooh, and Overtrain Rate misses. Overtrain Rate through the gravel. Roman Pawlowski gets that position. Overtrain Rate, can he get it going again? He can, but he loses around 6-7 car lengths. One more lap to go after the next corner. Can he close it down and put Roman Pawlowski under pressure? I think he can, because look at the gap between the two, Joe. It's only 5, 6, 7 car lengths now.
But he slid a little bit through the final corner once again. He's going to have to hustle if he wants an opportunity. As soon as they broke for that corner, I could see it happening. He was just coming in with a head of steam, and the Scandinavian could not keep it out of the gravel. He comes back at him into turn one. A little too far back for anything serious there. Oh, and he's way wide off into the grass, overdriving the car. Trangarade, I think he may have thrown away his best opportunity, as he is now 7/10 behind coming into the Moraine sweep.
P3 battle is heating up behind him. Matt Wright took a look on the outside of Marco Kika. Now, we don't have to forget the battle between Roman Pawlowski and Overtrain. It's heating up, but this battle has been heating up all race long as well, with one more lap to go. Matt Wright got passed by Marco Kika. He's trying to get the position back, but he just cannot get the car accelerating just to his liking that he can finish the move. Marco Kika defending the inside of turn 5 now. Matt Wright around the outside. Can he brake later? It seems that he can, though. Can he take the outward momentum that Overtrain Rate could as well? He cannot. Marco Kika gets that position back.
Intense stuff to decide the last spot of the podium. We're not missing anything up front. It is staying at about a second. Unless we get an error from Roman, he might have this sealed up. Down through the hurry downs, Matt Wright continues to apply pressure to Marco Kika, trying to get himself into P3, and he's running out of chances to do it. There's very few heavy braking zones remaining.
Yeah, Matt Wright needs to really win a lot of time in the next heavy braking zone, the one that is called the bend corner this time around. Under the Hawk sign, he cannot get really a lot of extra momentum through that corner compared to Marco Kika. Under acceleration out of the king corner as well. It just seems like the Finn really got this covered at the moment.
Meanwhile, up at the front, Roman Pawlowski had to work for this one, but his second win of the season is dangled in front of him, and I think he's going to take that carrot. Roman Pawlowski wins today here at Road America Trangarade. Follows him home to second. What about that battle for third?
Kika still in front, and it seems like Matt Wright has lost quite a bit of time through the infield section in the last lap. He gave it everything, but he just couldn't seal the deal. So out of the final corner, Marco Kika accelerating one more time under the sign and over the crest. He will get a final podium position in Road America. P6, however, the battle between Philippe Urquhart and Ian Heikos. It doesn't seem like Ian Heikos could recover one more time from his mistake. He has to settle for P7. Philippe Urquhart finishes in 6th position.
Ahead of them, Schlacher got his top 5, but I'm sure he would have been able to get a little bit more if it weren't for a few mistakes. Weber is going to beat home Grant Petullo, it looks like. Weber taking P8. And that's the last of our battles on track. Everybody else just kind of trickling in one by one. See Don Good, not going to be the last one in, but a ways back. He's going to be followed by Colin Coker. He's going to be the last car on the lead lap. So with that, I believe that's going to take us to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. So with that, we're going to step away so you can see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC, and then after that we'll give you the official results as well as driver interviews. So stick around. Welcome back to Road America. We just watched round 10 here at the bend layout of the course. First time we've ever seen that here on GSRC. And Roman Pawlowski takes the first ever win at this layout on the channel. But he had to fight for it. Ove Trangrade at the line, only 2 seconds back. Much of the race, it was a lot closer than that. And they swapped the lead back and forth multiple times. Marco Kika managed to get up to third and fend off Matt Wright, who hounded him all the way to the finish for that one. Wright takes fourth. Stefan Schlacker with a nicely earned top five in there, having fought back from eighth. A little bit of a mistake here and there may have cost him a chance at a podium, though. Philippe Urquhart finishes sixth ahead of Ian Haycox, another driver who was off in the kitty litter probably a few more times than he should have, and unfortunately had to settle for seventh despite qualifying for P4. Armin Weber finishes eighth, and Grant Petullo comes home ninth. Andre Bruno finishes 10th.
Just outside of the top 10 is Don Good. He gains 4 positions, comes home in P11, just in front of Colin Coker, who will probably be quite happy with the result. Not maybe that he finished P12, but he gains quite a bit of points on Andrew Eng and Hideki Kavisto for that P3 position in the Formula 2 Championship. Robert Reynolds was lapped one time, he comes home in P13, and then there are 3 cars that didn't see the checkered flag. Andrew Eng lost his car going towards Canada corner, that saw him retire, and Daniel Cedro and Hugh Haycox were involved in that lap 1 incident on the starting grid. They both retired in P15 and P16.
We've got our 5th place finisher, Stefan Schlacker, here to talk to us. Let's start with the start, Stefan. It seems you were on the unlucky side of the grid at the start, but Netcode seemed to have luck on your side today.
Stranded Hugh Haycock suddenly there. Seems like he was out of gear and just revving the heck out of his neutral. And then suddenly he appears on my screen. I was, oh my God! I thought my race was done there, but somehow I just glided through.
So then you had a fight on your hands for some of the top spots and suddenly find yourself falling backwards with a mistake in Canada. Was that due to what you were telling us about before the race with the braking being a little tricky in these cars in this layout?
Sorta not. I was heading a little bit too much to the left and then hit the grass and just wasn't able to save it. So I tried to bit it as fast around in the gravel and sort of worked, I guess. I lost the positions, but hey, better to have a little bit of a mistake and just get going again than to completely wreck out.
Stefan Johan here. You had a good race until that point, and also after that point, your battles with Ian Haycox, with Philippe Urquhart. How was it for you? How did it feel overtaking here? Was it easier than other tracks in the Lotus?
For me, honestly, I was a bit surprised because, as Joe said, I was really struggling on the brakes beforehand. So I wasn't expecting to be anywhere close to the top 10. I was expecting 14th, 15th, so very low in the grid. And then all of a sudden, I'm 8th. All right, let's just do my stuff. And then I really got into rhythm. It kind of already started in qualifying. And I just kept going, and I went faster and faster and faster. I think in the race alone, I improved by like 2 seconds or something like that. So and then I just kept doing my stuff, brake on my markers, accelerate on my markers, turn in, and it just all clicked. And Ian and Philippe just, I don't know, maybe they had a little bit of a bad setup on the brake, but my car suddenly clicked for me, and I was super good on the brakes, and I just took advantage of that.
It was really interesting to see your pace throughout the race because you seem to be incredibly quick, not only compared to Philip and Ian, but also to Marco and Matt at one point. I actually said at one point that I would expect you to actually get a podium position with the pace that you had. Around halfway the race, when you got by Philip and Ian, it seemed that you dropped a little bit in pace, like half a second per lap. Was that because of track temperature or something like that? Or was it maybe because you didn't have a car in front anymore that you could follow? Do you have any explanation for that, or did I see that wrong?
Room temperature. I'm feeling like I'm sitting here in a 4,000 degrees Celsius room right now. No, it just I got exhausted and wasn't able to keep up the pace anymore, so I dropped a little bit in pace. I was still catching that, but only because they were fighting. I mean, I got close to 3 seconds at one point, and then on the last lap, I just gave up on chasing the dream and just continued to, drive safely home, bring it home in a 5th place, because after all, it is a extremely great result.
Well, I'd say that you've given us a lot of excitement since you've shown up here in this series, and I'd love to see you around more in the series, but unfortunately won't be able to be around on track next week. We're looking forward to seeing you on the mic at Indy next week.
Yeah, I already said it on my stream because I'm streaming my onboards in this series. But I already said it. I would really love to race it in it because it's just an awesome combination. Because you have a car that moves around a lot. You have a track where it's always windy, so it is always destined for excitement. And so I just have to sit here and have to do the boring job of commentating.
I can guarantee from past experience, the races at Indy in this car will not be boring by any stretch. Well, congratulations to the top 5, and thanks for giving us some excitement today.
Hey, always my pleasure.
Stefan Schlager, top 5 out there for him and the number 6 car. So with that, we're going to close up for today. We've got to thank the Lotus 49 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage here on the iRacing Esports Network once again. Make sure and subscribe when you get the opportunity. All you got to do is go to their YouTube page, click the red button that says subscribe, and you'll get all of the Lotus 49 series in your feed. Also, thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Johan, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. As we mentioned, going to Indianapolis, but it's not the road course next time. It is the Oval. That used to be a fixture in this series, and it was a lot of fun to drive. I'm a bit disappointed I won't be able to be around for it. That'll be Saturday, May 25th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and see you on the track.